I starved and stole to support my mom's habit. I finally cut her out. 5 years later, she's asking for forgiveness, but it's my choice now. When I was 11, my mom trusted me with all her heart because by that age, I had already learned how to do my own laundry, how to cook a meal with only 3 ingredients, and how to wrap a tight blanket around myself at night so it felt like someone was holding me. And it's not like my mom was absent from the home or anything. She just spent all her time locked in her room working on her art. And as for why her art was never enough to pay the bills, I just figured that she trusted me enough to make budget-friendly choices. So even when I woke up in the middle of the night to gum shots or the 100-degree heat in summer because we had no AC, I felt a sense of deep pride. And whenever I went to my friends' houses, I always cooked the entire house dinner. And they'd wake up to the house spick and span. Counters wiped, sofas hoovered, even got the dollar bills that fell in between the cushions. They'd always say things like, "Wow, your mom must be an incredible woman with how well she raised you." And I'd respond with a huge beaming smile, "Yes, she is the best." No one ever questioned why I was so underweight, why I wasn't able to sleep in a bed, and instead always opted for the hardwood floor, why I couldn't even get through a sentence without apologizing. Always just thought I was mature and polite. So one day, when my mom came out of her room for the first time in days, I lunged towards her. "Mommy, look at my report card. The teacher said I did really good." "That's nice, honey," she said with a sigh, her tobacco breath burning my nostrils. "Can you tell mommy what day it is?" "Wednesday." I thought if I could make myself seem cheery enough, then she would finally love me in the way I wanted. Until suddenly, she started thrashing around the place and punched a hole in the drywall. Fuck, 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 fuck. I thought it was effing Thursday. I thought the payout was today. When I walked up to her, she lifted her fist as if she was about to take her anger out on me. So I made sure to speak really quickly. "Mom, I have $20. Immediately, her face softened. "Honey, you are the kindest, most mature girl a mother could ever ask for." But I didn't have time to savor the moment, because as soon as she snatched it from my hand, she walked over to the store to buy art supplies, came home, and went back to working on her art. Now you may be wondering where I got the $20 from. Well, there was this rich kid at school who always had lunch money. He was mean to everyone anyway, spitting on kids that looked poor. I started to keep a mental record of who I could take from and when. All for those brief moments when mom would emerge, needing another $20, another $40, another fix of her art supplies. And like all preteens breaking the law, I got cocky. And after just 3 months, Ms. Lee caught me. I already knew what was going down when she called me into her office. I thought she was going to call the police or at least scream at me, but no. Instead, she asked me questions. Not an interrogation, more like making conversation. Her, "What's your favorite food?" Me, "Rice with ketchup." Her, "What do you and your mom like to do for fun together?" Me, "Sometimes the day after she gets her government check and she does art in her room, I sit by the crack in her door and talk about my day." Her, "What time do you go to sleep at?" Me, "At 2 a.m. when my mom goes quiet." The entire time I had a smile on my face, just happy to talk to an adult that cared about me. But when I looked up, I saw it. Her eyes filled with tears. She told me to wait there while she went to go get someone, and handed me a Nintendo Switch to keep me occupied. And 2 hours later, I heard a knock on the door. It wasn't just Ms. Lee, because it was Ms. Lee with 2 police officers and a lady in a suit who said she was from Family Services. They all had the same look, like they were trying to smile but couldn't quite manage it. "Sweetie, we're going to take a ride to your house," the lady said. "We need to check on your mom." I began hyperventilating. "No, she's working on her art. She needs quiet," I yelled with full confidence, but they were already walking me to the car. When we got there, my mom didn't answer the door. The police said they needed to do a wellness check. I begged them not to break her concentration, but they opened the door anyway, because my mom always insisted on keeping it unlocked. I was the one to knock on my mom's door. "Mom, there are people here." When she didn't respond, I begged them to leave her alone, but they wouldn't. And within seconds, the policeman had opened the door himself. What I saw made my jaw drop so hard I thought my face was about to split. No article, no easels, no paint supplies, just my mom sitting in the middle of the room with a metal spoon and powder. Black mold covered the walls. You couldn't even see the floor past the flood of cigarette butts. I was ready to beg the lady to take me away. The social worker lady put her hand on my shoulder. I flinched hard. She told me her name was Victoria, and that everything was going to be okay. The police officers went into the room while I stood frozen in the hallway. My mom started screaming at them to get out. She threw things. I heard glass breaking. Victoria pulled me back towards the living room and told me to sit on our broken couch. I couldn't stop shaking. The police came out after what felt like forever. They had my mom in handcuffs. She was crying and yelling my name. I wanted to run to her, but Victoria held me back. My mom kept saying she was sorry and that she loved me. Then they took her away in the police car. I watched from the window as the lights disappeared down our street. Victoria sat next to me and explained that I would need to stay somewhere else for a while. She asked if I had any family nearby. I told her about my Aunt Sarah who lived 2 towns over. We hadn't talked to her in years because my mom said she was mean and judgmental. Victoria made some phone calls. I packed a garbage bag with my clothes. I didn't have much. 3 shirts, 2 pairs of pants, some underwear. Victoria helped me gather my school stuff. She found my report card on the floor where my mom had dropped it. All A's except for 1 B in math. She told me I should be proud of myself. We drove for about an hour to get to Aunt Sarah's house. It was huge compared to our apartment. 2 stories with a real yard and everything. Aunt Sarah opened the door before we even knocked. She looked just like my mom but healthier. Her hair was clean and she wore normal clothes. She hugged me so tight I couldn't breathe. Victoria explained the situation while I sat on a real couch with actual cushions. Aunt Sarah kept wiping her eyes. She said she had been trying to get custody of me for years, but my mom wouldn't let her near us. I didn't know that. Victoria left after making sure I was settled. Aunt Sarah showed me to a bedroom. A real bedroom with a bed and sheets and a closet. She said it was mine now. I didn't know what to do. I just stood there staring at the bed. She asked if I was hungry, and I said no, even though my stomach was growling. She made me a sandwich anyway. Turkey with cheese and lettuce. I ate it so fast I almost threw up. That first night I slept on the floor out of habit. Aunt Sarah found me there in the morning and cried. She helped me back into the bed and tucked me in. I stayed there for 3 days straight. Only got up to use the bathroom. She brought me food and water. Never pushed me to talk. On the 4th day, I finally came downstairs. She was making pancakes. Real ones from scratch, not the frozen kind. She asked if I wanted to help and I nodded. We cooked together in silence. The pancakes were perfect, fluffy and golden. I ate 6 of them. She didn't say anything about it, just smiled and made more. After breakfast, she asked if I wanted to go shopping for clothes. I said I didn't have any money. She said that was her job now. We went to Target and she let me pick out whatever I wanted. I kept checking the price tags until she told me to stop worrying about it. I got new jeans, shirts, shirts that actually fit, a winter coat, and shoes without holes. She even bought me pajamas, real ones with matching tops and bottoms. When we got home, she helped me put everything away in my closet. Then she sat on my bed and asked if I wanted to talk about my mom. I shook my head. She said that was okay, and we could talk whenever I was ready, or never if that's what I wanted. But she did tell me one thing. My mom was sick and needed help. It wasn't my fault, and I couldn't have fixed her. I had done everything a kid could do and more. Way more than I should have had to. I started crying then, like really crying. The kind where you can't breathe and snot runs down your face. Aunt Sarah held me while I sobbed. She didn't try to make me stop or tell me it would be okay. She just let me cry until I couldn't anymore. School started 2 weeks later. Aunt Sarah drove me there herself in her old Honda Civic that smelled like vanilla air freshener and coffee. She walked me to the office and made sure everything was set up. New emergency contacts, new address, new everything. The secretary kept giving me these sympathetic looks that made my skin crawl. Aunt Sarah hugged me goodbye and told me to have a good day. Her perfume was different from my mom's, cleaner, softer. I was terrified. What if everyone knew about my mom? What if they all stared at me, but nobody said anything? I went to my classes like normal, ate lunch alone like always, picking at the cafeteria meatloaf that looked nothing like food, did my homework in the library after school while waiting for Aunt Sarah to pick me up. The librarian, Mrs. Chen, started leaving little bowls of pretzels on my usual table. Things were good for about a month. I was eating 3 meals a day, sleeping in a real bed with sheets that matched and pillows that weren't flat as pancakes, taking hot showers whenever I wanted without worrying about the water bill. Aunt Sarah even signed me up for soccer because I mentioned once that I thought it looked fun. She bought all the gear, cleats that actually fit, shin guards, a water bottle with my name on it. She came to every practice, sitting on the metal bleachers with the other parents. I was terrible at first, but my coach said I was getting better. My teammates were nice to me. One girl named Isabella invited me to her birthday party. I'd never been to a real birthday party before. Then my mom called. Aunt Sarah had given me a phone for emergencies. A flip phone, nothing fancy, with a little charm hanging off it that she said was for good luck. I was doing homework when it rang. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Her voice was different, clearer somehow. She said she was in a treatment place and doing better. She missed me so much. She was sorry for everything. Could I come visit just once? She needed to see me, to explain things, to make it right. I told her I'd think about it and hung up. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped the phone. It clattered on the hardwood floor, the sound echoing in my quiet room. I didn't tell Aunt Sarah about the call. I knew I should have, but I didn't want her to take my phone away. My mom called again the next day, and the next. Always when Aunt Sarah was at work. Always saying the same things. She loved me. She was getting better. She just needed to see me one time. Her voice had that quality it got sometimes. Desperate, but trying to sound casual. On the 5th day, she told me she was getting out soon. Maybe we could be a family again. A real family this time. She'd get a job, a nice apartment. We'd have food in the fridge and heat in the winter. Everything I ever wanted. She even mentioned getting a cat, remembering how I'd always wanted one. I started planning. Saved my lunch money instead of eating. Told Aunt Sarah I wasn't hungry at dinner, that my stomach hurt from running too much at soccer. Put half my food in napkins and threw it away later. I needed to be ready when my mom got out. Needed to have money for her. Old habits die hard, I guess. Aunt Sarah noticed I was losing weight. She made doctor appointments. The doctor said I was malnourished and needed to eat more. Aunt Sarah watched me at every meal after that. Made sure I finished everything. I got creative. Spit food into my milk when she looked away. Stuffed it in my pockets. Fed it to her dog Bruce when she went to the bathroom. Bruce was a golden retriever who would eat anything, wagging his tail like we were playing a game. My mom's calls got more frequent. 3 times a day. 4. Sometimes during class, making my phone vibrate against my leg. She said the treatment place was horrible. They were mean to her. Didn't understand her art. She needed out. Needed my help. Did I still love her? Was I her good girl? The one who always helped mommy? I said yes to everything. Couldn't help it. Her voice did something to my brain. Made me forget all the bad stuff. Made me remember the few times she hugged me. The time she said she was proud of me for making dinner. The time she let me sleep in her bed during a thunderstorm. Her arms around me, making me feel safe for once. She told me her release date, 2 weeks away. October 15th, a Tuesday. Said she'd come get me and we'd run away together. Start fresh somewhere new. Maybe California where it was always warm and I could see the ocean. I could go to school there. She'd get clean for real this time. Not like before. This time would be different. I believed her. Or maybe I just wanted to believe her. Hard to tell the difference when you're 12 and desperate for your mom to love you. I started packing secretly. Put clothes in my backpack a little at a time. My favorite jeans, the sweater Aunt Sarah bought me that was the softest thing I'd ever owned. Took food from the pantry when Aunt Sarah wasn't looking. Crackers, granola bars, anything that wouldn't go bad. Filled water bottles and hid them under my bed. I felt guilty but also excited. My mom wanted me. She was choosing me. After everything, she still wanted to be my mom. That had to mean something, right? The night before her release, I couldn't sleep. Kept checking my phone every few minutes, the blue glow lighting up my face in the dark. She said she'd call when she got out, tell me where to meet her. I'd sneak out while Aunt Sarah was at work, take the bus to wherever she was. We'd be together again. A real family. I had it all planned out. Even wrote Aunt Sarah a note thanking her for everything. Told her not to worry about me, that I'd be okay. I must have rewritten it 10 times trying to find the right words. Morning came and no call. I went to school like normal, my backpack heavy with supplies. Checked my phone between every class. Nothing. Lunchtime, still nothing. Isabella asked if I wanted to sit with her and her friends. I said no, too distracted to be social. By the time Aunt Sarah picked me up, I was panicking. What if something happened? What if they didn't let her out? What if she forgot about me? I barely touched my dinner. Chicken and rice that usually was my favorite. Aunt Sarah asked if I was feeling sick. I said yes and went to bed early. Lay there staring at my phone, willing it to ring. It finally rang at midnight. I answered before the first ring finished, my heart pounding. But it wasn't my mom. It was a man. His voice was rough, like he'd been smoking for years. He said he was a friend of hers. She was staying with him for a few days, getting back on her feet. She needed money for a bus ticket to come get me. Just $100. Could I get it somehow? I said I didn't have any money. He got angry. Said I was a selfish kid. Didn't I want to see my mother? Didn't I love her? She talked about me all the time. Her perfect daughter who always helped her. Now I wouldn't even help when she needed me most. I started crying. Said I'd figure something out. He told me to meet him tomorrow at the gas station near my school, the Shell station on Maple Street. Bring whatever money I could get. Cash only. Don't tell anyone or my mom would get in trouble. Might even go to jail. Did I want that? Did I want my mom in jail? I said no and hung up. Spent the rest of the night trying to figure out where to get money. Aunt Sarah's purse was downstairs. She usually had cash, but stealing from her felt different than stealing from kids at school. She'd been so nice to me, given me everything, but my mom needed me, and I needed my mom. Next morning, I took $40 from Aunt Sarah's wallet while she was in the shower. The bills were crisp and new, like she'd just been to the ATM, felt sick the whole time, almost put it back twice, but I kept thinking about my mom, about being a family again, about her choosing me. I went to school with the money burning a hole in my pocket, couldn't focus on anything, kept watching the clock. At lunch, I walked to the gas station. The man was there like he said, tall and skinny with tattoos on his neck, some kind of snake or dragon. He grabbed the money and counted it, said it wasn't enough. My mom needed at least 200. I told him that was all I had. He said I better find more by tomorrow or my mom would be real disappointed. Then he left, getting into a hit-up truck that belched black smoke. I went back to school feeling worse than ever. $40 gone and my mom still wasn't coming. That night, I couldn't eat at all. Aunt Sarah felt my forehead and said I seemed warm. Maybe I should stay home tomorrow. I said no too quickly. She looked at me funny but didn't push it. After she went to bed, I snuck downstairs again. The stairs creaked under my feet and I froze each time, listening for movement. Found her emergency cash in the kitchen drawer. $200 in 20s. I took it all. Figured I'd need it for the man plus extra for my mom when she came. Went back to bed but couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about Aunt Sarah finding the money gone. What she'd think. What she'd do. Next day, I met the man again. Gave him the 200. He smiled and said my mom would be so happy. She'd call me tonight for sure. Set up when and where to meet. I believed him because I had to. Went through the rest of school in a daze. Isabella asked if I wanted to come over after soccer practice. Her mom was making tacos. I said maybe another time. She looked hurt, but I couldn't think about that. Had to focus on my mom, on our plan, on being a family again. That night, Aunt Sarah made my favorite dinner. Spaghetti with meatballs. Real ones, not from a can. She'd been cooking all afternoon, the house smelling like garlic and tomatoes. I forced myself to eat so she wouldn't worry. She talked about weekend plans. Maybe we could go to the movies, or the beach if it was warm enough. She'd pack a picnic, bring Bruce. I nodded and smiled and felt like the worst person in the world. She was planning our weekend and I was planning to disappear. After dinner, she hugged me and said she loved me. I almost told her everything right then. Almost. But I didn't. Just hugged her back and went to my room. My phone rang at 10. Unknown number again. But it wasn't my mom. It was the man. He said there was a problem. My mom got arrested. Something about old warrants. She needed bail money. $500. Could I get it? I said no. That was too much. He said I didn't understand. If she didn't get bail, she'd be in jail for months. Maybe years. Was that what I wanted? My mom rotting in jail because her daughter wouldn't help her? I was crying again. Told him I'd try. He said I had until tomorrow night. After that, my mom was on her own. I knew Aunt Sarah didn't have $500 just lying around, but I also knew she had a jewelry box in her room. Some of it looked expensive. Maybe I could take a piece and pawn it. She had so much she probably wouldn't notice one thing missing. At least not right away. And by then, I'd be with my mom. We'd figure out how to pay her back. My mom would get a job like she promised. We'd save up and buy Aunt Sarah new jewelry, better stuff even. I waited until I heard Aunt Sarah snoring, snuck into her room quiet as I could. The jewelry box was on her dresser, made of dark wood with little flowers carved on top. I opened it slowly. Lots of necklaces and rings and bracelets. I grabbed a gold necklace that looked heavy, figured gold was worth a lot. Was about to leave when I saw a picture tucked into the mirror. Me and Aunt Sarah at my first soccer game, both of us smiling huge. I looked happy, really happy. Happier than I'd ever been with my mom. I stood there staring at it, holding the necklace, thinking about everything. Then Aunt Sarah woke up, saw me standing there with her necklace. I expected her to yell, to call me a thief, to kick me out, but she just looked sad, asked me to sit down. I sat on her bed still holding the necklace. She asked if I needed money for something. I started sobbing, told her everything, about my mom calling, about the man, about the money I already took, about the bail. Everything just poured out. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she asked for my phone. I gave it to her. She looked through the calls. Then she hugged me, told me none of this was my fault. My mom was sick and was using me. The man was probably her dealer. There was no bail, no arrest, just more lies to get money for substances. I wanted to argue, to say she was wrong, that my mom loved me and needed me. But deep down, I knew Aunt Sarah was right. My mom had been out for days and hadn't come to see me. Just sent some man to get money. Same pattern as always. Same lies. Same manipulation. Same me falling for it because I wanted so badly for her to love me, to choose me, to be a real mom. But she wasn't capable of that. Maybe she never was. Aunt Sarah called the police about the man, gave them his description and the gas station location. Then she called to change my phone number. Said we'd deal with the stolen money tomorrow. Tonight I just needed sleep. She tucked me into bed like I was a little kid, sat with me until I stopped crying, told me she loved me, that I was safe, that I didn't have to take care of anyone but myself. That was her job now, taking care of me, and she wasn't going anywhere. Next few weeks were hard. I kept waiting for my mom to show up, to bang on the door demanding to see me, but she never came. The man got arrested for dealing. Police said he gave them information about my mom. She was back using, living in some house with other addicts. Probably didn't even remember calling me. Or maybe she did and just didn't care enough to try again once the money stopped coming. Either way hurt the same. Aunt Sarah got me into therapy. Some lady named Dr. Martinez who specialized in kids like me, kids who had to grow up too fast, who took care of parents instead of the other way around. Her office had soft chairs and tissues on every table. She taught me about boundaries, about how it wasn't my job to save my mom, how I couldn't love her into being healthy, how her addiction wasn't my fault or my responsibility. Easy to understand in my head, harder to believe in my heart. I started doing better in school. Turns out when you're not worried about your mom all the time, you can actually focus on learning. My grades went from good to great. Teachers started noticing me for good reasons, not because I was stealing or falling asleep in class. Isabella invited me to her house again. This time I said yes. We played video games and ate pizza and talked about boys we thought were cute, normal kid stuff. Felt weird, but good. Soccer season ended and Aunt Sarah signed me up for basketball. I was terrible at that too, but my teammates didn't care. They just wanted me to have fun. So I did. Ran around and missed shots and laughed when I fell. Aunt Sarah came to every game, cheered even when we lost, took the whole team for ice cream after. Some of the other parents started talking to her, asking if I could come to sleepovers and birthday parties. She always said yes. My therapist said I was making progress, learning to be a kid instead of a caretaker. But I still had bad days. Days when I missed my mom so much it physically hurt. When I remembered the good moments and forgot all the bad. When I wondered if I gave up too easy. If I should have tried harder, done more, been better. Dr. Martinez said those feelings were normal, that they'd probably never go away completely, but they'd get easier to handle. And they did, slowly. One day Aunt Sarah asked if I wanted to visit my mom. She was in a rehab facility, a real one this time, had been been clean for 60 days. Her counselor thought seeing me might help her recovery, but only if I wanted to. No pressure either way. I thought about it for a week, changed my mind a dozen times, finally decided yes. I needed to see her, to know if she was really trying this time, or if it was just another lie. The facility was nice, clean and bright with lots of windows. Nothing like I expected. My mom was waiting in the visiting room. She looked different, healthy. Her skin was clear and her hair was washed. She'd gained weight, good weight. When she saw me, she started crying. I did too. We hugged for a long time. She smelled like soap instead of cigarettes, felt solid instead of fragile. When we sat down, she took my hands, apologized for everything, said she understood if I hated her, that she'd been a terrible mother, put me through things no kid should go through, that she was sorry, so sorry. I told her I didn't hate her, that I loved her, always had, even when things were bad, especially when things were bad. She cried harder, said she didn't deserve my love but was grateful for it, that she was working hard to get better, going to meetings, taking medication, learning to deal with her problems without substances, that she wanted to be the mom I deserved, even if it took years, even if I never trusted her again. She wanted to try. We talked for an hour, about school and soccer and Aunt Sarah. She said she was glad I was with Sarah, that her sister was a good person, better than she'd ever been, that I was safe and loved and that's all she wanted for me. When visiting time ended, we hugged again. She said she loved me, that she'd always love me, that she'd call when the facility allowed it, write letters, whatever I was comfortable with, but no pressure. My healing came first. She'd wait as long as it took. Aunt Sarah drove me home in silence, let me process everything. When we got back, she made hot chocolate and we sat on the couch. I told her about the visit, how my mom seemed different, how she apologized, how she said she wanted to get better. Aunt Sarah listened and nodded, said she hoped it was true, that my mom would stay clean, but that we'd take it one day at a time. No expectations, no pressure, just see what happens. My mom did call, once a week like she promised. We talked about safe things, school and friends and books I was reading. She told me about her recovery, the steps she was working, the job training program she'd joined, the apartment she hoped to get when she left the facility. Small things, normal things, things that gave me hope, but I was careful with that hope. Kept it small and protected. Didn't let it grow too big too fast. Months went by like that. Phone calls every Sunday at 3 p.m. My mom stayed clean. Got out of the facility and into a halfway house. Started working at a grocery store stocking shelves. Sent me pictures of her little room. Just a bed and dresser, but she was proud of it. Said it was the first place she'd paid for with her own money in years. I put the pictures on my bulletin board next to my soccer team photo. Then one day she asked if we could meet for lunch, just the two of us, somewhere public. Aunt Sarah could drop me off and pick me up. No pressure. I thought about it for 3 days. Asked Dr. Martinez what she thought. She said it was my choice, but to trust my gut. My gut was scared, but also curious. So I said yes. We met at a Denny's near her halfway house. She was already there when I arrived, drinking coffee and looking nervous. She stood up when she saw me. We hugged awkwardly, sat down and stared at our menus. The waitress came by twice before we were ready to order. Finally, I got pancakes. She got a salad. We made small talk about the weather, about my basketball season starting, about her job. Then she pulled out an envelope. Inside was $240, the money I'd stolen for her dealer. She said she'd been saving to pay it back, wanted to give it to Aunt Sarah but thought I should do it. Part of making amends. I stared at the money, remembered stealing it, how scared I was, how desperate. She said she was sorry for putting me in that position, for making me think I had to take care of her, for being the kind of mom whose kid had to steal to survive. I told her Aunt Sarah didn't care about the money, that she'd forgiven me right away. My mom nodded, said Sarah was good like that, always had been, even when they were kids. Then she told me stories about growing up with Aunt Sarah, how Sarah always looked out for her, tried to help when things got bad, but my mom was too proud, too stubborn, pushed her away, chose substances over family, regretted it every day since. Lunch ended and my mom walked me outside to wait for Aunt Sarah. She asked if we could do this again, maybe once a month. I said I'd think about it. She said that was fair, more than fair. When Aunt Sarah pulled up, my mom waved but didn't approach the car. I got in and we drove away. I watched my mom get smaller in the side mirror. She stood there until we turned the corner. That night, I gave Aunt Sarah the money. She tried to refuse, but I insisted, said it was important. She put it in her wallet and that was that. No big deal, no drama, just done. We made tacos for dinner and watched a movie. Bruce curled up between us on the couch. Normal Tuesday night stuff, felt good. I met my mom for lunch once a month after that. Always at the same Denny's. Always pancakes for me and salad for her. She stayed clean. Got promoted to shift supervisor. Moved into a real apartment with a roommate named Brittany who was also in recovery. Showed me pictures of their place. Clean and simple. Nothing fancy but better than anywhere we'd lived together. For my 13th birthday, she asked if she could take me shopping. Real shopping. Not stealing or scraping together dollars. She had a budget saved up and everything. Aunt Sarah said okay but looked worried. I was worried too. But my mom showed up on time. Took me to the mall. Let me pick out clothes and books and a new backpack for school. Didn't complain about prices or make me feel guilty. Even bought us pretzels at the food court. When she dropped me off, she gave me one more present. A letter. Said to read it when I was ready. Maybe with Aunt Sarah. Maybe with Dr. Martinez. Maybe alone. Whatever felt right. I waited until bedtime. Sat on my bed and opened it carefully. Her handwriting was neat. Neater than I remembered. The letter was long. 5 pages front and back. She wrote about her childhood. How her dad left when she was 7. How her mom worked 3 jobs and was never home. How she started drinking at 12 to feel less lonely. Moved to harder stuff by 15. Met my dad at 17. He was older and had money. Seemed like a way out. But he was just another addict. They enabled each other. Made each other worse. She wrote about finding out she was pregnant with me. How she tried to get clean but couldn't. How she convinced herself she'd quit after I was born. But addiction doesn't work that way. She loved me from the second she saw me. But love wasn't enough. The substances always won. Always came first. Even when she hated herself for it. Even when she saw what it was doing to me. She wrote about watching me take care of myself. How proud and horrified she was. Proud that I was so capable. Horrified that I had to be. How she'd lie in her room high and hear me cooking dinner, doing homework, taking care of everything. How she'd want to help but couldn't move, couldn't think past the next fix. How she'd promise herself tomorrow would be different, but tomorrow never came. She wrote about the day they took me away. How it was the worst and best day of her life. Worst because she lost me. Best because I was finally safe. How she spent the first month in treatment planning to get me back, making all the same promises, all the same lies. How her counselor made her face the truth, that she wasn't capable of being my mom, not then, maybe not ever, that loving me meant letting me go. She wrote about watching me thrive with Aunt Sarah, getting updates from the facility, hearing about soccer and friends and good grades, how it hurt and healed at the same time, knowing I was happy, knowing it was without her, how she had to learn to be okay with that, to want my happiness more than my presence, to love me more than she needed me. The last page was about now, how she woke up every day and chose to stay clean, not for me, for herself, because she finally believed she deserved better, how she went to meetings and worked the steps and helped other addicts, how she was learning to be a person, not just an addict, not just a bad mother, a whole person with good and bad and everything in between. She ended by saying she loved me, would always love me, that I saved her life by leaving, by thriving without her, by showing her what she was missing, what she was destroying, that she didn't expect forgiveness, didn't expect a relationship, just wanted me to know the truth, the whole truth, that I was the best thing she ever did, even if she did it badly, even if it hurt us both. I was her greatest accomplishment and her biggest regret. Both things true at the same time. I cried reading it, cried harder showing it to Aunt Sarah, cried in Dr. Martinez's office discussing it, cried because it answered questions I didn't know I had, explained things I'd been too young to understand, made my mom human instead of a monster, made her sick instead of evil, made it easier to forgive her, made it easier to forgive myself for not being enough to save her. After that, our lunches got easier. We talked about real things, her recovery, my life, the future. She never asked for more than I could give, never pushed for overnight visits or holidays or anything bigger than monthly lunches. Said she was grateful for whatever I was comfortable with, and she meant it. I could tell. She was different. Still my mom, but also a stranger. Someone I was getting to know for the first time. Sophomore year, I made varsity basketball. My mom came to a game, sat in the back with the other parents, didn't try to talk to Aunt Sarah or make a scene, just watched and cheered when I made a shot, left before I could find her after, sent a text saying she was proud. That was it. Perfect in its simplicity. No drama, no expectations, just support. She came to more games after that, always in the back, always leaving quietly. Sometimes I'd wave and she'd wave back. Sometimes I'd be too focused on the game to notice her. Either way was fine. She was there because she wanted to be, not because she had to be, not because I needed her to be, just because. Junior year, she got her own place. No roommate, just her and a cat named Harley. She'd been promoted to assistant manager, had health insurance and a savings account. Normal adult things that felt like miracles. She invited me over for dinner, said Aunt Sarah could come too, make sure everything was safe. I said I'd think about it. Took me a month to decide. Dr. Martinez said there was no rush, no right answer, just what felt comfortable. So I went. Aunt Sarah dropped me off but didn't come in, said this was my thing, my choice. She'd be right outside if I needed her. My mom made spaghetti, not from a jar. Real sauce with tomatoes and basil and garlic. We ate and talked about school, about her cat, about anything except the past. It was nice, weird, but nice. I started going over once a month, sometimes twice. Always told Aunt Sarah where I was. Always had my phone. Always had an exit plan, but I never needed it. My mom kept things light, kept things safe, showed me she could be trusted, at least with this, at least for now. And that was enough, more than enough. It was everything. Senior year, she came to my graduation, sat with the other parents this time, not in the back, not hiding, right there with everyone else. Took pictures when I walked across the stage, hugged me after, quick and careful, said she was proud, said she loved me, said she'd see me at lunch next week, then left. No trying to join the family celebration, no making it about her, just there and gone. Perfect. I'm in college now. State school about 2 hours from home. Home being Aunt Sarah's house. Always will be. My mom and I text sometimes, still have lunch when I'm in town. She's been clean 6 years, has her own life, friends from recovery, a boyfriend named Kyle who's also sober, a promotion to store manager, normal problems like car repairs and tax returns, nothing like before. She asked once if I'd ever call her mom again. I'd been calling her by her first name since I moved in with Aunt Sarah. Couldn't help it. Mom felt too loaded, too heavy, too much history. I told her maybe someday, when it felt right, if it ever felt right. She said she understood, said her name was fine, said having me in her life at all was more than she deserved, and she meant it. Aunt Sarah is still Aunt Sarah, still comes to my games, still makes sure I'm eating enough, still hugs me too tight when I come home for breaks, still my real parent in all the ways that matter. She never adopted me officially, said she didn't need papers to love me, to be my family. She was right. Blood makes you related, choice makes you family. She chose me every day, still does. I'm studying social work, want to help kids like me, kids who raise themselves, who take care of parents who can't take care of them, who steal and lie and starve to survive, who think love means sacrifice, who think they're not worth saving. Dr. Martinez says I'll be good at it, that my experience will help others, that pain can become purpose. Maybe she's right. My mom sends cards on holidays, calls on my birthday, comes to important things when invited, stays away when not. We have boundaries now, clear ones, healthy ones. She respects them. I respect her recovery. We're not mother and daughter exactly, not friends either. Something in between, something unique, something that works for us. Sometimes I think about that 11-year-old girl, cooking rice with ketchup, sleeping on floors, stealing to survive, thinking it was normal, thinking she was loved, just not the way she needed, not the way she deserved, but she survived. She got out. She got Aunt Sarah and Dr. Martinez and teammates and friends. She got a life, a real life, a good life. And sometimes, when her mom calls just to say hi, just to hear her voice, just to exist in the same space for a few minutes, she remembers that love is complicated, that people can be sick and still love you, that you can love them back without sacrificing yourself, that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, that moving forward doesn't mean moving back, that family is what you make it, who you choose, how you show up. So yeah, that's my story. Kid who raised herself, mom who chose substances, aunt who chose me. Not exactly happy, not exactly sad, just true, just life, just what happened and what's happening and what might happen next. One day at a time, one choice at a time, one lunch at a time, and that's enough, more than enough. It's everything.